Hello, this is Brett from PM Squared Consulting. This is a quick overview of how OKRs can drive performance and employee engagement in the banking sector. Now, it's important to note as a banking executive, there are many things that you're responsible for. And OKRs are just connecting strategy to how your processes and projects are performing to allow people to understand how they're performing. But this becomes the backbone of many of your other responsibilities. Today, we're telling the story of how to develop your OKRs. So it's obvious that we have to start off with strategy. So phase one of developing your OKRs is just that. It's capturing your strategic objectives and priorities. Now, typically we do it in something like this. It's called a strategy map, where we identify the key objectives of the organizations, the corporate level North Star, and their priorities, how important they are this quarter, this year, and then connect them to your existing corporate targets, the things that you've committed to the board, the other executives, investors, and so forth. It's a quick process. We're harvesting the existing strategy and existing key results. From there, we have to sort of cascade it down or translate strategy into action. And we do that with a cross-functional team, sort of the executives, directs, reports, and high potential individuals. And what we do is we put that strategic objectives and priorities down the left side of a spreadsheet, and across the top, we put your core processes. And we score the impact of each process on that strategic objective. So, for example, if we were to take data science and analytics, the team scored their impact on deliver security control at a 4 out of 5 level. And this cell is just 4 times 5 or 20, and so it's light gray. They scored themselves 3 out of 5 on their impact on providing a seamless ecosystem. 3 times 10 is 30, so that becomes a darker gray. And then finally, they scored themselves a 5 out of 5. They're critical to become an analytics-driven organization. So 5 times 20 is 100, that becomes black. So the scoring here makes it clear what are the critical performance nodes. In this case, the work that we do in this department to support being business analytics, capturing the hearts of our customers, and simplifying money matters. So the black cells on this spreadsheet represent the critical performance nodes. These are the nodes that you have to write your OKRs for. And there's other benefits of this analysis, right? That's where you're going to put your best people. That's where you're going to have your best tools and processes and so forth. What this also allows you to see is the cross-functional nature of work. If I'm going to provide a seamless ecosystem, I need to make sure that I include people from IT and digital transformation to make that happen. On the other hand, if I'm working on capture the hearts of customers, I need someone from consumer and corporate financing, data science, brand marketing, and again, digital transformation. So the ontology serves many purposes, but for here, it's to help us build those OKRs. So let's pause for a second and talk about what the heck an OKR is. So objective and key result. The construction of a great objective and key result is a verb, a noun, key result, and target. Finally, the date by which you're going to achieve that target. So an example of customer support, let's say we're dealing with your call center. So the objective is to increase customer productivity. In other words, if someone's called at the call center, they're having a problem. They can't use their credit card or they can't use their banking machine, whatever it is they're calling about. There's something that's stopping your customer from being productive. So in this case, the key result is how many of those problems can we resolve at the tier 1 level. In other words, that we don't have to escalate up to tier 2. And in quarter 1, the date, we expect to resolve 75% of them. Now, in quarter 2, it's going to flatline. It's still going to be 75%. But a miracle is going to happen in Q3. We're going to drop 20%. We're going to be able to solve 95% of the calls at tier 1, and then a minor improvement in Q4. So objective has the verb, noun, key result, target, and date. And we prefer if you sort of project what those look like for the next 4 quarters so that we can see how this area is going to be performing, and we can understand how it impacts other areas. Now, to make this happen, we need some cross-functional support. So let's say we're going to train the operators in all of our products. And our target is to have everyone trained and certified in 2 products in Q1, 4 products in Q2, 6 products in Q3, and 10 in Q4. And then finally, we're going to do automate call-based routing so that once you call up, I know your phone number, I know which operator is certified in the products you own. And so we're going to design that in Q1, design, develop in Q2 in an agile format, launch in Q3, and stabilize in Q4. Now, it's this getting to launch in Q3 combined with a critical mass of training that allows this miracle to happen. In other words, the OKRs show us the key results and the cross-functional nature of work. In fact, we can begin to identify who owns which part of the overall process to be clear on who's doing what to achieve those results. And this, of course, is why you get that order of magnitude performance improvement, but also how you get employee engagement, because we now know what our purpose is and how we contribute to success. So going back to the process, the next step is to, for each of those black squares, identify what is the objective that we're working on. And then within those objectives, what are those key results? What are we can have more of or less of each quarter, and what our expected performance levels are. And then finally, to identify the cross-functional nature work, where do I need support? What other departments do I need resources from in order for me to achieve my objective? Now, by phase 3, we've actually built out the OKRs. But what we now need to do is translate it into action, make that performance transparent to everyone in the organization. So in this case, we're going to put it into a tool where I can see my personal performance. I can begin to see how my team is performing. I can see how my department's performing. Anyone can scroll through the entire organization by organization chart or by objective and see how we're performing. And so the idea is now we have that transparency, so the whole team can see how the whole team is performing. Then the last step is to enable this through better management practices. And so that's allowing us to have those more frequent, less formal performance conversations with employees, with teams, with departments. And that will happen at an increased cadence, weekly and monthly. We'll still do quarterly refreshes of the strategy and whatever you need to do to pick up the longer term views in some sort of annual cycle. So that's how it is you build OKRs in the banking sector. It doesn't take a lot of time. For leadership on a expedited process, you can get them through this activity of doing the strategy map and waiting in about 4 hours. That cross-functional team works for about 6 hours on day 1 to do the black and white ontology, about 6 hours on day 2 to surface the OKRs, about an hour of management review at the end of the 3rd day to make sure we're on track. It takes a couple of hours on day 4 to put them into your system of record. And then finally on day 5, what we begin doing is designing the weekly, monthly cadence, reporting cycles, responsibilities, and practices, and then launch it with leadership support. So that's the overall process. Obviously, there's more details behind this, but you can understand how, based on your existing strategy, data, process, knowledge, it's not a big journey to build your OKRs out in the banking sector.